Dear Singaporeans, I am Nicholas Tang. I am 28 years old and I am working as a legal engineer in an international law firm. I have a background in law with a degree in law from King's College London. I am standing for election because I believe that participation in civil discourse is the duty of every Singaporean. I am hoping that by stepping forward as a candidate, I will energize and encourage the youth to take part in the political process. I believe that many Singaporeans, especially young Singaporeans, are discouraged and apathetic to the political process because they feel like their voices are unheard. This is not true. Your vote is your voice. Every vote points the government in the right direction. This is why having a choice and a chance to vote is so important. At Red Dot United, we believe in giving people more options and more choices, so we can be the captains of our own lives. We want to empower Singaporeans to make their own decisions. The PAP believes that they know better than you how to live your lives. But how can they know the circumstances of every single individual? Everyone has different issues and different problems. But still, the PAP insists on making decisions on behalf of Singaporeans. The result of this is 5 decades of paternalistic policies where they decide how to spend your money, how you should live, and they decide what is best for you. Let me give a simple example of this paternalistic policy making. It is the banning of personal mobility devices, or PMDs, on footpaths. Prior to the ban, there had been an increasing number of accidents and injuries as pedestrians and riders could not agree on how best to share the footpaths. The government opted for the simplest solution, to ban PMDs on footpaths. An analogy to this would be 2 children fighting over a toy. A parent or teacher might confiscate the toy and the problem would be solved. But it does not address the root issue at hand. The children still have no idea how to share, and the problem would persist. They would not have grown or benefited from this. Similarly, by banning PMDs on footpaths, the government has stopped accidents from happening, but they have not addressed the root issue. Singaporeans are still unable to amicably share public spaces. As a result, our society cannot grow and our people are worse off for it. At Red Dot United, we believe that you know better than the government how to live your lives. We want to give you more options, not take them away from you. We want to return social responsibilities back to the people so we can learn and grow as a society. We believe that only you can do what's best for yourself. This is what it means to be captains of our own lives. This is also why legislation like the Protection from Online Falsehoods Act, or POFMA, is so dangerous. Our institutional safeguards have been severely weakened with the introduction of POFMA. The PAP have given themselves enormous powers, attempting to become the initial arbiters of truth for society. I understand the government's concerns about fake news. I myself share many of their concerns. For a time, we looked like we were heading towards a brave new world, where we would be overwhelmed by a sea of information and misinformation, so it would become impossible to discern the truth. We had all seen what fake news can do to harm the democratic process, particularly in the US elections. However, POFMA swings the pendulum too hard in the other direction. We now appear to be headed back to 1984, with our government deciding for the people what is true. The PAP have argued that these powers are to prevent the emergence of a rogue government, but the best safeguard against a rogue government are strong institutions and a people with the right to vote. By weakening our institutions, they are ironically making it easier for a rogue government to assume power. What then is the solution to fake news? Our citizens must be empowered to discern the truth for themselves. As a highly educated population, we cannot be babied and spoon-fed by the government what the truth is. We need to be responsible for ourselves and discern the truth for ourselves. If we are to be captains of our own lives, legislation like POFMA, which gives the executive too much power, must not be allowed to exist. To that end, one of the goals of Red Dot United is to foster an active citizenry. We want to encourage and nurture political discourse in society. Only through conversation can we reconcile our differences and come together as a people. We need to be united against the many problems we face in troubled times. United, we stand. Discussing policies and ideas should not be taboo. We must remove the notion of OB markers from the minds of every Singaporean. Everything must be open to discussion. If we cannot have conversation, then we will be lost as a society. We need only to look at other nations to see what will happen if conversation breaks down. Look at the riots in the United States. Look at the destruction of public property in Hong Kong. It is difficult to imagine Singaporeans protesting on such a scale, let alone rioting. But if we continue to silence people, they will find other ways to be heard. Violence and riots are the voice of the unheard. Movements like Pink Dot or the climate rally must not only be allowed to carry on, they must be encouraged. Instead of silencing them, the government should engage them in discourse. This is why I believe that participation in civil discourse is the duty of every Singaporean. There is much at stake. To quote a wise man, this is not a game of cards. This is your life and mine. Government decisions and policies affect all of us. We need to be an active part of this process. Win or lose this election, Red Dot United is committed to fostering this active citizenry. Only by knowing the policies and decisions at stake can Singaporeans make responsible and informed decisions for themselves. And so we have come a full circle. We need to become the captains of our own lives. Red Dot United is committed to advocating for policies which return these choices and options back to the people. We need to assume these responsibilities for ourselves, or we will never grow as a nation. Your vote is a sacred thing. It is the power of every Singaporean to control the direction of this country. Come July 10th, you must exercise this power. Vote to point the government in the right direction. Vote for Red Dot United.